They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding? With my hook for a hand, I'll split you from your groin to your gullet.
This is Professor Olson, head of archaeology for U of T, head of field research for the SIA.
Francis Monroe, project director. Pleasure to meet you.
I'm curious what they told you. They were pretty vague with the details.
A week ago, we began unearthing a large object that we think is the roof of a structure that goes down, well, really far. This is the real deal, and we're looking at one of the biggest finds in the past century.
The crew will be remembered for the greatest archaeological find possibly ever.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
There it is, gentlemen.
Station 9, come in. Over. Station 9, are you there? Come in, please. Over.
3 of our guys are gone. The other 2 went looking for them. These trucks are headed north. Reservation south.
Well, if they're headed north, they're definitely dead.
Still feel like shit, eh?
Yeah.
You've been feeling progressively worse throughout the week?
Yeah.
Someone was sneaking around the outpost last night.
I don't know, maybe it was an animal.
For Christ's sake, that was no animal.
When was the last time you slept?
I'm not sure.
You're hallucinating.
He's here, now, listening, watching. He's watching me. Jensen, I can't move without him watching me. I can't move.
Calm down.
What is going on, YouTube? I'm very excited to be here today. I've took a hiatus. I've been MIA for a while. You have to excuse me. I've been busy. I've built me a new rig. Essentially, I built my own PC to enhance the quality of my videos and the quality of my gaming. However, let's get started with this movie review. The movie that we're viewing today is Black Mountain Side. Black Mountain Side is a 2014 suspense thriller horror movie that was directed and written by Nick Shostakovich, right? Before I get started, this director is a pretty humble guy. You know, I reached out to him on Twitter. He responded, and yeah, he's just an awesome guy. He's a really nice dude. He has a few projects actually that are available for streaming and for you to watch. And I recommend definitely supporting this director, this independent director. The reason I'm doing this movie review is because this was the second actual movie that I reviewed on my channel before I had my formatting down and my video quality down. So I felt humbled enough by him responding to me to actually redo this movie review with better quality, better lighting and everything like that. So let's get into this movie. I've heard great things about it. I heard it's kind of reminiscent of The Thing, but a completely different movie, right? And that's always a good thing, because The Thing, when it initially came out, was hated, but over the time it's developed a cult following. It's considered one of the best horror movies of all time. Also, one of the best examples of what practical effects can be. So yeah, this movie is very, very realistic. There's no soundtrack at all to this film, which actually adds to the isolation and the tone of this film. There's no music, there's no jump scare music, there's no jump scares in this movie at all. Essentially, this movie is basically a group of archaeologists at a dig site, and they uncover basically the top of some structure. And the structure doesn't really fit into the history of that region as far as the natives in that area that were actually building civilization. So they bring in a specialist and they basically discover like that it's impossible for it to have been natives because the age of the structure predates any type of Native Americans that were around in that time. So slowly what begins to happen is basically the cat there ends up dead. Nobody knows why, what happened. Somebody says it was one of the crew members. One of the crew members that are at this dig site actually did it. They ask him and he's like, no, I didn't do it. And then out of nowhere, a few days pass and the natives disappear. And nobody knows where the hell they went. They find tracks, and the direction that the tracks were heading, there's absolutely nothing that way, and they would have died before they tried to reach where they were going. So off top, things start to get really unsettling quick. And there's this one character that starts to hear this voice calling out to him. This really ominous, creepy voice. And essentially, a person starts to get sick. And you're starting to wonder, okay, is there like some ancient like virus or plague that was inside of that was inside frozen basically and preserved in the ice, and as they uncover this it begins to expand? Or is there really some supernatural thing going on with this entity, this deer god that seems to be popping up on some of the artifacts? And as the movie progresses, people begin to slowly lose their mind. I mean, we're talking about really, really good practical effects. We're talking about self-mutilation, people's limbs getting cut off. It gets pretty violent and graphic. And this movie is unsettling because it's a slow burn. It takes its time. There's absolutely no music, no soundtrack, and it just fucking works. The director, Nick, is really fucking good at building suspense. It's really eerie at certain times. At certain times, there's this feeling of dread and an intense fear, an overwhelming sense that something's about to happen. And there's something as simple as some guy getting medication, getting examined by one of the people at the dig site, where absolutely nothing happens, but the suspense is built up so much by this point, you think that something's gonna happen, but it doesn't. And then when it does happen, it's like completely out of left field, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Why did he just do that? And the movie it escalates and escalates and escalates. And the entity in this movie, the deer god, or it's not really clear whether or not it's just like cabin fever or hallucinations or the people going crazy. But at the same time, it gives you enough information for you to pretty much see what was happening. And yeah, this movie's really good. The acting is good. The directing is great. The cinematography is beautiful, of course. The overall tone of the movie is really fucking good. Like I said, they're in Canada in the snow and they're isolated, and it really gives you the Thing vibes. But the movie's original enough for it to not feel like it's a ripoff. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is an independent film. It came out in 2014. Why am I talking about it now? I really love talking about independent horror films, not only because I want to write my own horror films, but I feel that these indie directors and these indie movies that are really good actually deserve to be covered more than mainstream films, because I mean, these people don't have the budget to have mass marketing and shit like that. So you're not gonna see. There's no other way you would ever hear about these movies unless you stumble upon some random ass YouTuber that wants to cover these type of films. So I just feel really excited about this, about talking about this movie. Again, the voice of the entity is so fucking good. It's really unsettling. I would say the voice of this entity is almost on the level of Tony Todd's delivery of his lines in Candyman.
Helen.
Yes?
Helen.
Who is that?
Just with how prominent and how fucking powerful his voice was in there, the entity's voice in this is on that level of disturbing and on that level of commanding your attention. You know, Nick did an excellent fucking job with this movie. Again, yeah, the director is a great dude. He's very approachable. Like I said, he responded to me on Twitter. And I want to say thank you for responding, because you didn't have to, you know what I'm saying? You could have been like, man, fuck this dude, he's just a fan or whatever, but you actually responded, so I appreciate that. Yeah, if you love The Thing, and if you love Lovecraftian type vibe horror films, now when I talked to the director, I asked him, you know, was this inspired by any Lovecraft novel or anything? He said no. He wasn't really too sure or familiar about Lovecraft, but this film does have a sort of a Lovecraftian vibe to it, like a sort of a cosmic horror vibe to it, but it's more grounded in reality than anything. But yeah, you guys got to really check this movie out. I would not be recommending it if it was a piece of shit. However, horror is subjective, but to me, this was my favorite movie of 2019 when I saw it. One of my favorite movies in 2019, definitely in my top 3. Like I said, I just love the vibe. I love the intensity. I love the atmosphere of the film. I love how there's no soundtrack. I love the voice of the entity. I love the storyline. It is a great movie. Really, really fucking good and worth your time. So right now, I believe he posted that it's streaming on Amazon right now. So go ahead and purchase this movie. It's definitely worth your money. If you're into cosmic horror, if you're into isolation horror, if you're into mysteries or suspenseful movies to where they're sort of ambiguous, but not so ambiguous like one of those art house horror films that are just, it's not like High Life at all. Now, High Life was okay, but it was just too fucking pretentious. You know what I'm saying? This movie's not pretentious at all. There is a little bit of ambiguity, but not to the point where you don't understand anything about the movie. So I'm gonna give this movie, and don't listen to the fucking ratings for this movie. The ratings are pretty shitty. I mean, if you're one of those people that need to see the IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes for a movie in order to like it or watch it, then I mean that's pretty shitty, but that's your prerogative, so I can't really complain or judge. But for me, I like to see things for myself and then come up with my own review for how these movies are. So I pretty much ignored all the critics, took a gamble, and it was definitely worth it. Again, Nick is a great director. The script is amazing. I'm very excited to see any other projects that you make, and you got my support for life. So this has been a Dread Emperor. Yeah, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell button so you're notified whenever videos come. Be on the lookout for my next movie review, which is a movie review for The Lighthouse starring Robert Pattinson and, of course, the legendary William Dafoe. Again, the first 10 people who subscribe to my Patreon will receive an AMD Ryzen 3 GPU processor. You understand what I'm saying? This is a really good gift. It is what it is. You don't want to subscribe, you don't have to, but go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, this is a Dread Emperor. I hope you stay safe during these times of social distancing and isolation. Yeah, I hope you all doing well. Peace.
Let Neptune strike ye dead, Winslow! Hark! Hark! Triton! Hark! Bellow! Bid our father, the Sea King, rise from the depths full foul in his fury, black waves teeming with salt foam, to smother this young mouth with pungent slime, to choke ye, engorging your organs till ye turn blue and bloated with bilge and brine and can scream no more, only when he, crowned in cockle shells, with slithering tentacled tail and steaming beard, take up his fell befinned arm. His coral-tined trident screeches banshee-like in the tempest and plunges right through your gullet, bursting ye, a bulging bladder no more, but a blasted bloody film now, a nothing for the harpies and the souls of dead sailors to peck and claw and feed upon, only to be lapped up and swallowed by the infinite waters of the dread Emperor himself. Forgotten to any man, to any time, forgotten to any god or devil, forgotten even to the sea, for any stuff or part of Winslow, even any scantling of your soul, is Winslow no more, but is now itself the sea.
All right, have it your way. I like your cooking.